This is Kim and Kim, and welcome to Ask Moms podcast.
Hi, this is Kim and Kim, and welcome to Ask Moms podcast. We are not professionals, but we can share our experience and remind you that you're awesome. We are talking all things motherhood, the good, the tough, and everything in between. And today's episode of Ask Moms is Internet Safety for Kids. And parents, before you roll your eyes and think, ugh, another internet safety lecture, don't worry, this isn't that kind of episode.
No.
You wouldn't send your kid to a playground with no rules, so why would you send them online without guidance?
Wow, look at you.
Yeah.
So, yes, this episode's really going to help people, and we have a special guest for you today, Mr. IT, Izzy. And I worked with you years ago.
Yes.
And I know that, I know enough to know that you kind of kept kind of a corporate environment going, what had multiple sites, all kinds of challenges. So I have a huge appreciation. And actually last week, Kim and I were chatting with you, and we just had to invite you to the podcast. So thank you so much for coming.
It's my
you
pleasure.
can share the knowledge that you have to keep our kids safe and actually us. And the first thing I wanted to ask you about right off the bat was what you spoke about passwords.
Passwords. So passwords are super important. A lot of people don't give them the importance because they're inconvenient.
Yeah.
They stop you. They make you. I want a longer password. Longer passwords are better. Well, that means I got to type more and all of that.
I remember it.
Yeah, and then you got to remember it. So a lot of people like to have everything wide open. Don't like to have any passwords on anything. And passwords are super important. Mm-hmm. Whenever something's wide open, there are so many cyber dangers. Now, I don't want to put this off as, my goodness, don't use your computer. Everything's so dangerous. That's not what I mean. But it's important to be able to secure your information because sometimes things that you don't realize are important are. Mm-hmm. I'll give you one quick example about passwords. So if your machine's wide open, you normally think.
What do you mean by wide open?
Wide open as in it has no password. You turn it on, you start using it.
Okay.
Wide open.
Yep.
Or you have various things that you go into and none of them have passwords in them. Right?
Okay.
The reason why the bank makes you put your password in and various things like stores and Amazon and anything, the reason why all of those have passwords is because they keep personal information. Mm-hmm. First thing a lot of people are going to say, I just go on Facebook. I just get an email. I'm not too worried about it. Well, that same computer, maybe you go look up your Visa to find out how much you owe. Maybe you do interbranch banking and you go in and you do your banking, maybe you pay some of your bills. Because that's only less than 1% of what you do on your computer and you do other things, that's still very relevant. Now, if your computer isn't password protected, if it doesn't have the proper antivirus and firewall set up properly to prevent people from getting in, it's very, very easy to even go to a legitimate site. Mm-hmm. And there's so many cases of it that people can look up in the news. That you could go to a legitimate site and that site was spoofed. And it says, oh, hold on a second. You're doing a Google search? We're a little confused. Please put in your username and password.
Oh.
And it starts doing that sort of idea to you. And, oh, this is out of date. Please click here. That's the famous one. People getting links and messages with links in them. And they go, oh, I have to click on that to be able to do that search. Right. Well, as soon as you do that, there's always the possibility of malware or keyloggers, which are they memorize all the things that you typed. And then they're waiting for you to go to the Royal Bank or CIBC or whatever, and you put in your username, you put in your password, and at some point while the computer is on, it sends it off to someone.
Yikes.
Or sends it off to a file where people will look at it. I know that's the doom and gloom part of it.
No, it's important to know. But
it's true.
The other thing that stuck in, and actually Kim and I talked about this too, was you had mentioned how dangerous it could be to use the same password for everything.
Yes. So a lot of people.
It's a bit of a pet peeve of yours.
It is a pet peeve of mine. A lot of people, for their own convenience, use the same password for everything. So they say, well, this is the password I use at work, and it's also my Netflix password, it's also my bank password, it's all of these things. And they say, but at least I've got a password, Izzy. That's what they say to me.
Yay, me.
Yay. But I always say that's actually a bad thing. And the reason why it's a bad thing is because if any of those passwords is in any way compromised, let's say it's something that is not as important to you. Let's say your Netflix password is compromised. Because they know your email address or username and one of your passwords, there are these things called bots. To uncomplicate it, they're little programs that do things thousands of times faster than we can. Right? It's for automation. So these automation bots will then take my name and take the password that it knows, and what it'll do is it'll have this big file where it says, let me check the Royal Bank, that name and password. Nope. Okay. Let me check Bank of Montreal. Nope. Let me check Chase Bank. Nope. Let me check. And then it'll check department stores. Then it'll check all these things. Because it's sort of depending on the fact that we want to make it as convenient as possible. So we're going to use the same username and password for everything. And if you happen to be doing that and one of them gets compromised, there's a possibility they'll use it to compromise other things.
Okay.
So eventually they'll find something.
Yeah, right?
Boy.
One of the things when I knew I was going to be here that everyone who's listening may want to double check. So there's this great site, and it's called haveibeenpwned.com. And it's have I been, which is normal, and pwned is PWNED.com. Now, there's no spaces there. It may be pronounced pwned, but haveibeenpwned.com. When you go onto that site, what that site does for you is it's got a huge indexed database of all of the email addresses that they've found on the dark web that have been compromised over the years and that sort of idea. And I challenge everyone to go on it, because a lot of people have multiple email addresses. I know I have one that I've had since the early 90s. And I use that particular password whenever I don't, I know that I'm going to receive all sorts of advertisements and junk mail. So I use that one, and then I keep my personal one only for the things that are important that I have to use the bank or that sort of idea.
Yeah, same.
But what you do is if you go onto this website, it will allow you to put your email address on and show you if it's been compromised from where it was compromised. So I have one particular email, that one that I've had since, for many, many years. It's been compromised 14 times.
No way.
So, and it actually shows different companies. There used to be a website many, many years ago called Houzz, HOUZZ.com. And you would go on it, and it's when my wife and I bought our first house. And you go to it, and it shows you all these model homes and things. And then you can click on anything on it, a window, and it'll show you where that window's from. You click on a coffee table, it'll show you where that source is. And we wanted to get ideas where we could buy stuff for our new home.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, in 2017, 2018, their company got compromised. They had a data breach, and 14 million usernames, passwords, all of that stuff went out onto the dark web and for people to use.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, for people to say that, you would think, so what? So they've got my email address.
Now what?
What do I care about it? Well, here's the thing. Someone has your email address, or even the stuff that people put on Facebook. So what? I don't care if people see me sitting in my driveway. Well, there's a few things. If they have your email address, maybe they can get your password. Maybe they can guess your password, right? Now, if they can associate your email address to a social media account, they can review your social media account. If they download any of those pictures, they can find out where it is. So now they know where you live. So they've got your name, your email address, and where you live.
Whoa.
Well, as they build more and more information about you, then what's to prevent them from making false ID?
Absolutely.
What's to prevent them from taking out a mortgage in your name?
Fraud.
Like, there's a number of things. Yeah, all sorts of fraud. And it happens all the time.
Oh, my gosh.
That just happened to us not that long ago, where we got a call from the bank, our bank, saying, you need to get a hold of us right away. This is not a scam or whatever. And somebody out west, in Canada out west, was trying to change our address. Of all things.
Yeah.
So the first thing I thought was, what the heck? And the second thing is, how did the bank know? Right?
Yeah.
Like, how did they know to call us? And we were a 2-hour drive. And from the time we got that, I spent the full 2 hours with the bank. And what are the two agencies you have to connect with? So
Equifax is one.
Equifax and something else.
I forget the other.
Yeah, there's two, and that protects you. So if somebody did try to take out a mortgage in your name or something, you're flagged at Equifax, and they just make sure that it's you, right? So that leads me to my question. When you said, I just learned something. When you said these little bots go out, and,
Yes.
whatever. So if you find yourself on that list that you gave us, what do you do?
So the first thing is really simple. Go on and change your password, right?
Yeah.
Because if they have your username, they're trying to get onto it, they're trying to break it. If it's going back to passwords, everybody always wants you to make your password longer because the longer it is, the harder it is to break.
Right.
If it's short or if it's something silly like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or the word password.
Yeah.
And
so
all
that's
that.
not good?
No, yeah, yeah, it's
Okay.
quite bad.
I gotta change my password.
Think
So
you better.
all of those, there'll be this large database. I can't remember. I used to work with a fellow who he used to do that, and he would do this this attack on your account, and if it was too short, he could get into it, and it was a certain amount of time. So because he was doing it to prove that all of our passwords should be longer than a certain length.
Yeah.
Because the longer they are, the more possibilities
Right.
of what it could be, especially if you mix up, letters, numbers, special characters.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
it gets even harder
Yeah.
to ever break. But what they'll do is if they can do that, they'll start, and the banks will flag all of these things, because if suddenly you're accessing your bank, and they also do geo blocking. So if you're accessing your bank from a place where you normally don't access your bank, that's a flag for them.
Okay.
Right? If you never use interbranch banking, and for the first time you're using interbranch banking, that's a flag for them. So anything that's out of the norm, they have software that starts to flag it, and if it passes a certain threshold, they stop the transaction and contact you. So
Good. Wow.
that's why
Good.
they did that, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
So you could even do passwords, I've heard, that are something like IZ is smart, and then have like some of those letters, like
Yes.
I could be a number 1 instead, and then put like an asterisk at the end or somewhere as an exclamation mark.
That is absolutely perfect, yes. So I find, for me anyway, everybody has a different way of remembering things. I find it best to be sentences. Now,
Yes,
these aren't things that
yeah.
I use, but I always, it's easy for us to type a sentence.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
And so it'll be, if I was using the recording studio software, I could say, my recording software.
Yes, right.
And because it's a bunch of words, and it'll have a mixture of capitals and
Yes,
non-capitals.
yes.
And as long as I put an exclamation mark in there or a number,
Yeah.
now the length of that little phrase is very easy for me to type.
Yes,
It'll be very difficult to break.
yes.
So that's a very good idea.
Yeah, yeah. So I like that. Well,
Yeah.
thank you. That's awesome. Now, what about email safety? Have you got any advice about email safety?
Yes. I know it sounds so antisocial when I'm going to say this, but if someone sent you an email
Yeah.
who you don't know and
Yeah.
weren't expecting,
Yeah.
a few of the things that I always say are, the first thing is, do not open the attachment. If you do not recognize them, do not open the attachment.
Right, yes.
Links. Links are the one that people get caught on the most.
Yeah.
And they think, well, they didn't really send me anything. It's just a link to another location.
yeah.
Well, especially if you go onto a website. When you go onto a website, the website is not there. It's downloaded onto your computer to display that page to you. So you're not viewing something somewhere else. So when you click on a link and go somewhere, that information comes onto your computer, and therefore it's now on your computer.
Eek, yes.
So that's why it's so important to have things like software to take malware out, and antivirus software, and software that prevents ransomware from being installed on your machine, all of that sort of idea. Because we're so dependent on our technology.
We are.
We keep all of our pictures of our family, of our
Yeah.
when we go to a wedding and all this kind of stuff.
Our life, our whole life.
We upload all of those things.
Yeah.
Other people, they invoice all of their
Yes,
invoices come via
that's right.
email. All of your bills come via your
Yes.
computer nowadays.
Your bank accounts,
Your bank account stuff.
finances.
And we're
yeah.
embracing it blindly
We're
Exactly.
trusting. We're very trusting.
because percent of people are really IT driven.
Well,
Not that many,
no,
you know.
no. We
Something like-
expect the best out of people, so we're not assuming that people are going to
Yeah.
try and
Yeah.
hurt us.
Or somewhere in behind something, the banks or the retailers
Yeah.
or whoever
Yeah.
has things in place to protect us.
Yeah.
this is what people think,
That's
right?
what they think, yeah.
So there's a question. So you're online and you're browsing through YouTube. You're looking for something on Airbnb.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is there a way to know what not to click on? Are there flags? Like, how would you
Yes.
approach that? Like, if it was you and you're looking up these things, you're on YouTube or, like I said, Airbnb. I'm mentioning that because I'm going to need to do that.
So a couple of things that you have to do is, one, if you've prepared your computer already, we're not promoting any specific products, but as an example,
Prepared.
yeah, your computer should be prepared. And what I mean by that is it should have antivirus software on
Okay.
it, so that a lot of your browser itself does a little bit of this. There's a setting in your browser that says only accept secured sites.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it'll be a drag because if you go to a site that's much older and they haven't, their site isn't prepared to be secured,
Right.
then what'll happen is it'll say, sorry, the site isn't secured. And it'll give you this message that allows you to go past it, but at least it warned you.
Right.
And then if you use something like Bitdefender or any of these other softwares, that's the one I happen to use, what it'll do is it actually goes ahead, and if it sees that site's a little weird and it does it really, really fast, you won't even notice any lag. It'll say, sorry, you shouldn't go to that site. And it'll figure out what problem that site has. It doesn't have all sites have to be certified, so its certificate is not up to date. There's something odd about this site. I don't like it. You shouldn't go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So little things like that are really, really important.
Yeah.
Okay, so along the same line. So I'm a general public, don't know anything about IT. I need to get a computer.
Mm-hmm.
So I go into a retailer and I buy a computer. Is there software that comes with it? Like, can you walk kind of someone like me that's just buying a computer for the first time?
Mm-hmm.
Can you kind of walk them through what they should do from startup?
Yes.
Opening it up, turning it on. What do you do?
So when you go out to buy a computer, all the computers are really pretty good now, right?
Okay.
You do have to think about what you're going to do with it. If you're a little more advanced, you may want a more advanced computer. If all you're going to do is emails, do some banking and that sort of idea, you may need a less powerful computer. So that'll affect the price. All of them are really pretty good now, whether you're a Mac person or whether you're a PC. That, again, is personal preference.
Okay. But there's a protection.
But the protection...
Is that built in, or do you have to buy that?
Well, normally what they'll do is they'll have software. We actually call it bloatware because they put so much of it on there. And they'll say, hey, for the next 30 days, you're covered for free. But if you'd like to buy our product. And those products aren't necessarily always the best. Absolutely, they work, but they're not always the best ones that you get.
Education.
So education a little bit. You want to make sure that you use an antivirus, as an example, that doesn't slow your machine right down. Some have much more overhead. And remember how I said you can buy a weaker computer depending on what you do. But if all of a sudden you're editing video or you're doing AutoCAD or something like that because you have a 3D printer at home, you need a computer that's a little more powerful. If you have that weaker one and your antivirus software is taking up all the cycles of checking everything that you're doing, your brand new computer is going to seem awfully slow. So you're going to be a little frustrated. You got to do your homework a little bit. You got to say, what do I need it for? What's my budget?
Yes.
Once you've figured that out, you can go, all of these, Google and all that sort of idea, you can actually say, these are the things I'm going to use it for. Give me a recommendation. They'll give you a recommendation. ChatGPT, AI.
Yeah.
It will give you ideas on what you may or may not need. And then when you do go and get it, the most important thing, everybody loves, oh, look, I've got this great thing that sorts my pictures and all of that. That's absolutely marvelous. If you're a photographer, yay, you'll know which ones you need. But the most important thing is to make sure you have a good antivirus on your machine to be protected whenever you go to do anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And also when you go to different sites too, in your URL bar, when you have that little, it looks like a lock.
Yes.
Make sure that's there too before you're looking at a site. Don't just, trust it. So look for that at the beginning of the address. And also really read the address too and make sure it's not something kind of funky that's like off a little bit from what you think you're going to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen
Good
that
point.
before.
Some people, it's hard because you don't want to be insulting when you say some people aren't using common sense. And what I mean by that is a lot of these emails you receive look so legitimate.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you get
Yes.
this email,
Yeah.
it says it's from the Royal
Yeah.
Bank,
Yeah.
and you really should click on this link and check your account.
Right.
Because $700 has come out. But the email came from bob@gmail.com.
Yes.
I'm sure that Bob, who works at Royal Bank, is not sending me emails from home.
No.
So little things like that, like checking where the email came
Yes.
from.
Yes.
If it came from Royal Bank, it'll say it came
Yes,
from Royal Bank.
that's right.
Absolutely, they
Yeah.
can spoof that. Then as you just hover your mouse over all the different links on the page,
Yeah.
they'll all be consistent.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's one little thing. Absolutely, especially with the advent of AI, even those are getting really harder
Yeah.
to identify.
Yes.
And again, that's where the other things like your antivirus and that sort of idea
Yeah.
come in handy. Because you look at that email and you'll say, yeah, this is amazing. But if we go back to that thing I was saying about common sense, will your bank ever say, here, go over here to see this file? Never.
No.
Their email will always say, please log in as you know how to.
Yes.
Or please call us and speak to us on the phone. They're not going to give you these links or documents that you should be using.
No.
Because that in itself is a security breach.
If your spidey senses are tingling,
Yes.
Then you're right.
Yeah.
Listen to
Yeah.
your gut.
go with the gut.
Wow, this is really good information.
Now, one that I
Yeah.
was gonna talk about was the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Because that one's become that one's been a really big thing lately, and a lot of people aren't really talking about it. You can go to a local restaurant. You can be in the airport. The airport's the famous one.
It's scary.
And when you get into the airport, you say, I got to wait a few hours before my flight. I'm going to join the free Wi-Fi. And then, so as an example, if you join at our international airport, you go there, and you might see a Wi-Fi account that says, Pearson International, free Wi-Fi. That's actually not what their Wi-Fi is called. What's basically happening is there's the potential that there can be someone sitting there in the middle of everyone, and they're broadcasting Wi-Fi with that name.
Oh my gosh.
And what they're doing is they're connected to the internet, but they're broadcasting that. So you connect to theirs and then out to the internet. And everything that's called man in the middle, and everything that you're sending or you're doing before your flight or whatever, it may be nothing. But they're scooping all of it up so that they can review it later and see if there's anything important.
Oh my goodness.
So one of the important things...
So how do locations like you said, Pearson International? Okay, so let's take them. So what do they do, or do they do anything?
Well, what
to
can they do?
stop?
So they can have someone
They
constantly
can have
monitoring
some
if
kind
one
of
comes
signage or
up.
something saying this is our Wi-Fi or something
True,
like that.
true.
right?
And then they do. Wi-Fi is
Like,
available
you
and
know
all
those
that sort
little
of
tables
idea.
they have with Wi-Fi? They should have a little note saying.
But they could say, this is the one. And if someone says the exact same name, number 2,
jeez.
number 3, they'll go, oh, this is the airport's. It's just the second version or the third
Oh
version.
my God.
It's difficult to get that much information to everyone. So the one I always say, a lot of people have heard about VPNs, virtual private networks. And basically what you do, there's a whole bunch of different companies that I'm not going to recommend any because that's not what we're doing.
No.
But there's a whole bunch of very different ones. And also some of your I've been talking about antivirus software. A lot of antivirus softwares will give you an initial 200 hours worth until you use it up and that sort of idea. And basically what you do with that is you turn it on, and when you log in to somewhere on the net, it will create this encrypted tunnel where your information resides.
Okay.
So remember how I said there's a man in the middle? You joined something that you thought was real Wi-Fi, but it was just someone who's sitting in the middle to scoop your information.
Right.
And then they're allowing it out to the internet, but
Right.
they're taking a copy of it. Well, by having your VPN, when they take this information, it's all encrypted. It's in that little tunnel. So it encrypted all of that information, and it'll make no sense to them.
So
Perfect.
how I apply that is with photocopiers.
Okay.
So you would be typing and you go file print, and your photocopiers are now digital out there.
Yes.
And there's an encryption from your computer to where it prints out.
Yep.
So that's the same idea?
It's the same idea.
So it's all like zeros and ones and...
It's all, well, it's a little more than zeros and ones, but what would happen is if it was only zeros and ones, it'd be very easy for them to see it because they put them all together with binary and they'd be fine. But this would be some type of encryption that would be very difficult to break. Cool. I mean, I'm sure there's some government out there that may or may not be able to break certain types of encryption, but your average hacker who's trying to get your banking information, not so much.
So if you're using public Wi-Fi a lot...
Yes,
VPN,
because you travel and all that.
Is that something you pay monthly for? Like,
yes.
Can you do a one-off or you pay monthly?
There are some free ones. You can look them up, and there are some free ones that you can use through your browser, but they tend to have less servers. They tend to be slower. So if it was something where you don't use it as much, you went on vacation, maybe you want to go check a couple of emails or go do something, you can use one of those, right? If it's something that you go on a lot, you're constantly doing it, it's something that you either do for work or your own business, that sort of idea, and you're constantly going on to hotel Wi-Fis and airport Wi-Fis and all this sort of stuff.
Traveling,
there's these VPN services. They're super cheap and well worth it. They'll make up just in the security that you're getting from them, they'll make up their cost. And they're not expensive.
That's good to know.
Yeah, we've got one. We use it,
yeah.
So here's a very different one. Okay. So as a parent, do you think the devices should stay out of the kids' bedrooms at night? What's a healthy balance? And how can you, as a parent, keep track of what your kids are doing?
Great question.
That's an excellent question. A lot of people, and this is only a personal belief, so people will either agree with me or not agree with me.
For sure.
And it's absolutely fine. But I think that we have to have an honest conversation with our kids up to a certain age. Mm-hmm. I know I mentioned before when we spoke recently that up until a certain age, we had access to our son's passwords, the things he could get into, because he knew that we explained to him properly that we wanted to make sure that everything that he was doing was safe.
Absolutely.
And then as he gets older, as he got more
aware.
tech savvy and aware, then we could back away and don't have to do it.
Yeah.
There are some people that would look at me with terror in their eyes if I said, yes, I have to know my son's password for such and such because he or she, or my child, he or she is of a certain age. Yeah. And I'm not even going to say a number.
Yeah.
If I feel they're too young and I want to protect them,
I
think that's a conversation I can have with them, and I can say, we can trust each other. And slowly, as I see that you're getting better, I'm going to back off more and not have access to these things. I think that sort of communication and that I'm being there for you to assist, I think is really, really helpful. And our kids need that.
Agreed.
Like anything else, right now we care about whether our children are exposing themselves to the doom scrolling till all hours.
Yeah.
In our house, we didn't have televisions in our bedrooms.
No.
Because, you don't want to watch TV till you fall asleep. It doesn't allow your brain to finally relax and finally allow you to go into that deep sleep.
Yeah.
So I'm a big believer in that. I think that all kids, and I'm not a specialist in this, but I think that all kids love structure. They like to know what the rules are, and because that way it also gives them the ability to push back against them when they feel that they're unjust and everything. So by just allowing your children to do anything they want, you're not parenting. You're not making them stronger for later in life.
Yeah.
It's a comfort you're giving.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have a thought on that too. So I remember being a teenager or whatever, and I knew for a fact that there was this party going on, probably going to be drinking, et cetera, right? I knew I really shouldn't be going, but all my friends were going, and I didn't want to look, nerdy because I didn't go, whatever the term was.
Whatever it was, yeah.
But more than once, my parents stepped in and said, oh, by the way, you're not going to that party. And I did the usual teenage, that's not fair, everybody's going. But I remember inside thinking, phew, because
Relief.
I knew whatever I wasn't allowed to do
Yeah.
was going to be happening at that party.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
I feel, in a way, you might be helping your teens because they're like us. It's all brand new. And especially for the little ones that are going into this internet world, right?
Yeah.
They don't know either.
Yeah.
No.
So if you have the boundaries set for them, they might say, but everybody's doing it, and, like, don't cave, right?
Oh, my gosh.
No.
Because deep inside, there's a little Kim in there thinking, I'm not comfortable either, but my friends are doing it, and I don't want to look stupid because I'm not, whatever, right?
No.
So I agree with you, Izzy. Like, take that off of their plate. And,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that they benefit so much. It doesn't always transfer over, but they benefit so much from the things we've done. I mean, really, there are differences, obviously, but there are a lot of things about their life that they're learning that we've already gone through. Now, I can't say that I know exactly what they're going through. But as a parent, I'd be able to comment and say, this is how I used to feel. This is how it was. Take it for what it is.
Yeah.
And then when they listen to you, they go, if they say that's exactly how I felt, then it might make them comfortable enough to say, well, just let me ask you a question.
Izzy's a mom.
I'm a mom. I must be a mom.
That's good. You're good. You're a good mom.
But you just have to keep it open because if they know, they're not necessarily always going to come to you and ask you that question because it's like, it's not in my case, it's not my dad's business, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. But I want them to be able to know that whatever I say is my opinion, and I'm only saying it because I care.
Yes.
And they can, especially as they get older, they can either take that opinion or not take that opinion.
Yeah.
But I want them to be able to be comfortable enough to come over and say, okay, this is going to sound weird, but let me ask you a question because it's been bugging me.
Yes.
And if I can help, that's what we're here for.
Exactly.
Right?
And even
As
if
parents.
not for them, for their friends.
Yes. Yes. Oh, goodness, yes.
And you alluded to the digital detoxing, right? By kind of keeping it out of the bedroom at night, stuff like that, which they super duper need. And also, we need to keep track of cyberbullying possibilities or potential, right?
Oh, it's
These
so
poor little
bad.
things.
Yeah.
It is so bad. And if we're not involved in their lives and what's going on, we might never see it.
No.
Because they might not know how to communicate it to us.
No.
Or they might not want to because
Or
they'll go,
not even understand
this
that it's
protective
happening.
parent is going to say something to someone. It's going to embarrass me.
Yeah.
So I don't want them involved.
Yes.
But if you build that trust right from when they're younger, it's so much simpler,
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, I agree. 100%. Wow, so much information.
There are a lot of great free utilities that people can use. People get so frustrated with their technology because they buy that new computer that you were talking about, and a year in they go, what a pile of crap this thing is. It's so slow now and all of that. And I've found that over the years that I've been doing the work that I do, it's usually because people aren't doing the maintenance to their computer that they have to. I mean, if it was your car...
Memory.
Well, it's
Using up all memory.
Well, there's memory also, and a lot of people sort of underbuy, and they're like, well, this is the bare minimum that your operating system can use.
Right.
So that was part of the purchase. The analogy I always make is if you bought your car and 3 years in you say, you know what, I've never done an oil change and I've never changed out the tires. You see how you said, oh my God? It really is the same thing with the computer, right? If you don't do things to like remove the programs that are doing crap in the background that you don't need.
Like bloatware.
And all of that
what do
stuff.
you do?
So
You
there
take it into an IT
you can
service station?
you can do that. You can absolutely do that. But there are also some great ones. I'll name a couple of them because they're all free.
A little lift.
So the antivirus for sure is important.
Yeah, sorry.
The antivirus, no matter what you do, you should have an antivirus on your machine. A lot of people will tell you, oh, well, Windows comes with one, and it is decent, right? The one that already comes with the software. But it doesn't have all the toys that you need as these cyber threats are evolving. So
no.
You want to get a good antivirus. That you'll pay for. Okay. But things like there's malware bytes. That's this, and bytes is spelled B-Y-T-E-S.
Thank you.
So malware bytes, you can go onto their site. They'll have a free version there that doesn't have all of the features of the things that their paid version can do. But just by running that, you will find all of these things that you've downloaded or part of your cookies or part of your cache, all of that stuff that's on your computer that's building and activating every time you get onto the internet. It'll find them, it'll recognize them because they have definitions, and it'll remove them from your computer. Cool. So that one's one. There's another one, it's called Bleach Bit. and it's bleach and then BIT. That one's also free. And what that one does is, and I'll say this sort of to find out how you feel about it. So if your computer's done a memory dump, have you ever gone in and seen what is in that memory dump and why your computer had crashed at the time?
No.
And I can guarantee you that 99% of the people that you speak to will always say no, or they'll ask you the question, what exactly is a memory dump?
Oh.
So basically, everything that your machine caches for use in memory when you've gone to a website or when you're using a program, any of those things, any logs that are 4 or 5 years old and are still on your computer and you're never going to look at. Anytime your computer has crashed and restarted and you didn't know that happened and it's left a memory dump just in case somebody's going to go take a look at it, all of that stuff builds up and it's all sitting there.
And is that all part of your memory?
Well, no, that's all sitting on your computer, but to use cache as an example, the whole idea of cache is you take stuff off. Let's say you go to a website. It puts it onto your computer, and it's sitting there in cache. Next time you have to go to that same site, instead of immediately going to the site, which still takes time, it's got to go somewhere and it's got to download it, it's cached on your computer. So it puts it up, and then it looks at the site if anything else has changed, and it only changes that. The whole idea was to make your computer faster.
Right.
Problem is, all that cached stuff, when you have too much of it, now your computer's spending cycles and time searching through the cache first, and it slows it down, and then it goes to ask the site.
Mm-hmm. Like your file cabinet, you're going through
Like
all
your
your
file
files.
cabinet. Yeah. And if you're going through your files in your file cabinet and you're finding a whole bunch of important invoices from the 80s,
Yeah.
it's
They're
time
important
to
too.
some of them are, but it's time to
Old
get
people like us.
A shredder.
a shredder
You need a
is
shredder.
really important.
Yeah.
So that will remove all of that sort of stuff.
Okay. So Kim,
Yes.
help me out here.
Okay.
We're going to summarize.
Okay.
So first thing is secure your computer.
Yes.
Right, Izzy?
Passwords.
Passwords.
Super important.
Super important. And use mix. Don't use my password of 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8.
Or the word password or any of those.
8 7 6 5 4 3 2 1.
Yes.
Dot.
Don't use those.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and the one suggestion we made is like a short piece of a sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A little
sentence
phrase.
and add like an
And add an exclamation mark at the beginning, at
number
the end
symbol
of
or
it,
something.
change an I to a 1. A
Yeah.
little thing like that won't be super complicated, but is easy to type and is still longer,
Yeah.
Okay.
will protect you.
A little
So-
stronger.
Number 2,
Emails.
emails. Like, emails, I'm thinking the links.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you receive something, if you received it from someone you don't know and it's got links in it,
Yeah.
do not go to
Do
them.
not.
Yeah.
It's not that important.
Yeah.
If it is from an agency or someone that you're dealing with, give them a quick call and say, "Hi, you sent me an email about this. How can I help?"
Perfect.
Unless you're positive and you know the person
Yeah.
and you've had a
Yeah.
conversation, absolutely.
And you're waiting
Yes.
for it.
Right.
Absolutely. But if you receive something, don't recognize them, don't know why they're sending that to you.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't even
Yeah.
do that on the phone.
Exactly.
People
Yeah.
call me and I don't
Yeah.
I don't answer it because I figure they're going to leave me a message.
True,
Right?
Yeah.
true.
Also, we
Yeah,
went
yeah,
over
so-
Wi-Fi safety and having a VPN.
Having a VPN for
Yeah.
Wi-Fi safety is
What does
very
VPN
important.
stand for again?
Virtual Private Network.
Yeah.
Virtual private network.
Yeah.
Okay. So either have one that you pay for monthly if you travel or you need to access
Yeah.
it a lot.
If you access it a lot, they're cheap and they're well worth
Yeah, public
Well worth
Wi-Fi
it.
we're talking about, not your
public
own.
Wi-Fi. Yeah, not your own. Yeah.
And
Well,
then-
your own. It's good on your own also because you can't tell where you're coming from. It's all encrypted.
Okay.
It's a good thing.
Okay.
Once you buy
So
it, you'll be using it
VPNs are
anyway.
good for Wi-Fi.
VPNs are amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, they're good.
Antivirus software, absolutely,
kids.
absolutely.
Have some kind of control about what they're
Yes.
looking at online. And I agree with you, Izzy, not to mention, it doesn't matter what age they are. It's how mature they are.
Yeah.
So I agree with that. You know,
You want to be a facilitator and a
whether
partner.
they're 17 or 34, my
Yep,
kid.
yes.
You know,
It's important. That's super important.
Well, we didn't get into the conversation
I'm trying to be
of
funny, but Izzy's looking at me like, there's
Yeah.
like 34-year-olds out there that maybe
Well,
should not be on.
not even 34-year-olds. How many? And I say this sort of tongue in cheek, but how important is everything that we're talking about for our kids, just as important for our grandparents
Oh,
or our parents
100%.
who are being caught up in all
Oh
of
my
these things
gosh.
now.
Yes.
And those people are losing their life savings, they're
Yes.
losing their homes,
Yes.
they're losing money, they're getting caught up in these scams.
Yeah.
So the age thing is not important to me.
No.
I think that anyone can fall prey to someone who's doing
Yeah.
these things.
Mm-hmm.
And so, a helpful discussion is always best.
And don't be embarrassed if it's happened to you.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Because it happens to a lot of
So-
people.
And hopefully
yeah.
we can avoid some of this
Yes,
just
just being aware.
by chatting with
Yeah.
Izzy. And thank you so much, Izzy, for being
Yeah.
here today.
It
Yeah.
was my pleasure.
And we also want to thank our listeners out there. We hope you feel supported in this episode. And if you have any questions, please email us at askmomstoday@gmail.com or drop us a note in the YouTube comment section. So email us. And should you have any other topics you'd like us to tackle, please also send us a note.
And remember, you don't have to be a tech genius to keep your kids safe online. Just be a curious, slightly nosy, totally loving parent or caregiver who isn't afraid to Google things at midnight. And as Bill Gates said, the internet is becoming the town square for the global village of tomorrow, but even the town square needs rules.
Yes.
Like Kim said, great news, we are also now on Hunters Bay Radio. It's a local Muskoka community radio station, 88.7 FM on the dial, or www.muskokaradio.com. Always please remember, moms, dads, kids, we know you do your best and you're not alone.
Yes. And we're here. And until next time, please take care of yourself and others when you can.
You've got this.